In our first story, Behind Mansion Walls,
There's always a concern when that much money is at stake.
one family's Silicon Valley dream turns to a nightmare.
She knew right then that something terrible had happened.
And later, she lived a perfect teenage life.
Fun-loving, loved horses. She was a kind of trophy daughter.
But she was stalked by death.
It was this huge mystery. What on earth had happened at this mansion?
I'm Christopher Mason. Fathers are meant to be providers and protectors, and a wealthy papa can provide far more than most. But behind mansion walls, children of privilege may discover that Daddy Dearest is not at all who he seems.
In the darkened halls of an opulent Silicon Valley mansion,
All the blinds were closed. The house seemed dark and quiet.
Christina Daou searches her father's home with the help of a neighbor.
When did you call him? I don't know. I've been trying to call him all day.
Christine immediately became concerned because the alarm for the house was not set, which is very unusual.
Christina's older brother, Andrew, didn't show up for an appointment this morning, and he isn't answering his phone.
The moment that they looked into the bedrooms, they realized something terrible had happened. Turned around to tell Christina, and I think Christina could see it in her eyes, and she started to scream.
Los Gatos, California. Slick, modern, the heart of Silicon Valley.
Lots of millionaires in Silicon Valley, lots of even some billionaires in Silicon Valley.
The city of the cats is named after the mountain lions that once roamed the nearby hills. And Los Gatos is still full of predators. Commercial property developers feasting off the high-tech revolution. One of the most aggressive, 50-year-old Ed Daou.
For a person to stand out as a prominent developer, you had to be special. And he was special. And he was skilled. And he was smart. And he had a big personality.
Ed Daou reigns over a development empire. His company builds everything from home units to holiday inns.
His father was the Donald Trump of Lebanon. And I think when he moved to Silicon Valley, he was trying to emulate his father and create his own type of Donald Trump type of an image.
Local reporter Sean Webby has watched the Daou family fortune flourish.
He became enormously successful as a developer, made millions and millions of dollars.
Hey, Andrew, stand up straight.
Lived the perfect Silicon Valley dream.
Ed and his wife of 30 years, Carmen, live out that dream on a sprawling family ranch with their children Andrew and Christina, and all the trappings of success.
They certainly lived the lifestyle. They had a Bentley, they had a Ferrari.
Hey, Mom, Christina, come over here.
Many people who looked at them from the outside, this was the portrait of a perfect family. They were handsome, they were successful, and I think the outside world looked at them as what could go wrong.
Ed's only son and heir, Andrew, is his father's pride and joy.
Come on.
Andrew Daou was a young college student looking forward to living a very successful life. He seemed to be very upbeat, always smiling.
The star athlete is also a staunch Christian. His dedication to God rivaled only by his devotion to his own father.
Yeah, give me the ball. Give me the ball. Then throw it. Hey, chin up.
Andrew wants to be a winner,
Ball through.
just like Dad.
Fluid motion, come on.
Real driven kid, kind of person who's always practicing his jump shots. Also intellectually driven, kind of person that studied hard, got straight A's, was expected to get straight A's, and enjoyed getting straight A's.
And Ed Daou expects only the best from his boy.
He was a strict disciplinarian. When things didn't work out perfectly,
I know, Andrew.
he was not happy.
Come on, focus.
He had high expectations of his family, his children, his wife.
Yeah, that's better.
I think failure wasn't an option.
But in 2007, Andrew faces an opponent more daunting than any other.
Andrew developed cancer, very serious cancer.
Ed treats Andrew's Hodgkin's lymphoma like another ball game or a business deal, an enemy that must be beaten.
Ed Daou's mother had suffered with cancer previously, so he had this overbearing dread about Andrew's diagnosis with cancer that he was going to have a difficult time beating it.
After grueling chemotherapy treatment, doctors declare his cancer in remission, but the war is far from over.
He was a fighter. He had a good head on his shoulders and a really good kid.
Andrew's cancer is not the only crack starting to appear in the Daou family's shiny veneer. It seems the man who spends his life controlling million-dollar deals also demands total control of his nearest and dearest.
Ed Daou and his wife Carmen were clearly having serious marital difficulties.
Police are called over domestic disputes at the Daou's home.
Essentially verbal arguments. No physical violence had ever been reported to us.
In early July 2011, Carmen decides that she's had enough, and she moves out of the family home and asks for a divorce.
Ed Daou clearly was a shattered man after his wife filed for divorce.
The children are split between their parents. Daughter Christina goes with Carmen. Loyal son Andrew follows Dad.
He had faith that he could help his father to ultimately rebuild the marriage and get everybody back together.
The developer seems desperate to repair his home life, organizing a get-together with his kids.
Ed Daou and his son's girlfriend went out to dinner at a fancy restaurant nearby, and he tried to invite Christine, his daughter, to the dinner. She declined.
After dinner, father and son return home.
Andrew said goodbye to his girlfriend, and as far as we know, it was a normal night. As far as we know, there was no signs that anything imminent was going to happen.
The next day, the Daou mansion stands silent. The usually reliable Andrew misses a meeting with his mom that morning.
Carmen was expecting a call from him, but it never came. So throughout the day, Carmen continued to text message and call Andrew, but he wasn't answering, which is very unusual for Andrew.
By sunset, Carmen sends daughter Christina to investigate. She asks a neighbor to help search her father's home.
They opened the door. The neighbor told Christine to stay in the living room while she checked things out. She was worried there might be an intruder. She was worried about what she might find.
When the neighbor enters the master bedroom, she makes a shocking discovery.
The neighbor looked up, saw a leg. It was Ed Daou's leg laying in bed, and she knew right then that something terrible had happened.
Ed Daou is dead. One neat bullet hole through his head.
As soon as they found Ed Daou, Christine became very nervous for the welfare and apprehensive that something had happened to Andrew.
It's okay, Christina. Oh my God. What is it? Tell me.
And in Andrew's room, they find him tucked under the covers. His body splattered with blood.
The neighbor had stopped Christine from going into her brother's room to see Andrew in the condition that he was in.
Who would slay a millionaire and his son as they sleep? Perhaps Ed Daou's insatiable appetite for success has ruffled the feathers of some other Silicon Valley predator.
It was clear that Ed Daou's estate was valued at several $1 million. And there's always a concern when that much money is at stake.
In 2010, Detroit was the most dangerous city in the United States. And Los Gatos, California, didn't even make the list. Which is just how the wealthy people here like it. But mention walls won't stop deadly surprises.
Definitely a very unusual location for us to receive a call of a homicide in this neighborhood. It's just very quiet and quaint, very affluent area.
In July 2011, a neighbor discovers the bodies of millionaire property developer Ed Daou and his son Andrew.
Both had suffered a single gunshot wound to the head.
Sergeant Ryan Elder was at the crime scene.
Nothing appeared to be really out of order. We saw no signs of forced entry or any sign of fight. As we got into Ed Daou's room, the master bedroom, we saw him lying on the bed, what appeared to be a gunshot wound to his head and a revolver lying on his chest.
A .38 caliber Smith & Wesson. Was the gun deliberately planted there by the killer?
I think the sheriff's deputies who investigated this case were cautious at first and wanted to figure out exactly what was going on.
Initially, it was still a little too open-ended, so we kind of kept our possibilities open.
And while forensics worked the murder scene, detectives turned to Andrew's girlfriend. She was with father and son the night they died, and she tells police that Andrew was still alive well after midnight.
She left the residence and got home. She received a couple text messages from Andrew, the last being at about 12:45 in the morning.
He texted her that he needed to go to bed early because his father had said that he should go to bed early that night. Crawled into his bed, pulled up the covers, laid down his head, and went to sleep. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing that a person who felt like they were in any kind of danger would do.
As tributes pour in for the prominent businessman and his popular clean-cut kid, homicide detectives dig deeper into the family's affairs.
I think they tried to figure out the relationship between the father and the son, the father and the wife, the father and the daughter.
Ed's daughter, Christina, was also invited to that last supper. But she stays away. Police wonder why.
Christine was terrified of her father. She didn't even want to be in the same house with him.
Nor will she see her dad on her own.
When she was forced to, she invited relatives to come over and chaperone the situation. That's how afraid she was of her father.
When detectives read through the Daou's divorce papers, they find that Ed was no family man. It seems that behind closed doors, he was a monster.
Carmen Daou filed for divorce. She also filed for a restraining order. And basically, she wanted him to stay away from her at all times.
It highlighted several incidents of domestic violence, both verbal abuse and physical abuse.
Ed expects Carmen to be the perfect wife, and he's not happy when she breaks the mold.
At one point, she was wearing a gray tank top and some gray shorts. He disapproved of this outfit, so he made her take off the outfit in front of the family. And then later that night, cut it up with scissors. She said that wasn't the first time that had happened. Carmen Daou describes a monster, a person who ferociously beat her for such things as buying an expensive dress, for her daughter leaving a damp towel in the dresser.
Over 30 years of marriage, Carmen and her kids have kept quiet about Ed's violent attacks.
Ed would occasionally strike or become very physical with Carmen. You know, at times would headbutt her or hit her in the stomach, you know, in Carmen's belief to avoid, you know, revealing bruises.
The wife was undergoing terrible abuse by her husband, physical abuse by her husband, over a period of years. I think everyone should ask themselves, why didn't she tell anybody? Why didn't she go to the police?
A search of Ed's legal documents delivers another bombshell.
The day that Ed and Andrew were last seen alive, Ed Daou had created a update to his will.
He'd taken his wife out of the will, which is a pretty prototypical thing for someone to do while they're getting a divorce. He'd taken his daughter out of the will. But police found a particularly chilling thing was that he'd also taken Andrew out of his will.
Why would Ed disinherit his cherished son? The truth lies in the one test the straight-A student can't conquer, his cancer.
At some point in 2010, during an annual screening test, traces of the cancer had come back.
What are we gonna do? He looks so sick.
What do you mean, what are we gonna do?
During that time, Ed Daou became increasingly pessimistic about his abilities to beat the cancer.
We can't get so angry like this. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Clearly, this was pushing him to the breaking point.
You gotta calm down. Calm down.
The word failure doesn't appear in Ed Daou's dictionary. The pugnacious businessman must succeed at any price. To be the best at basketball, Ed hires his son a coach. Now he decides to buy Andrew a one-way ticket out of the cancer ward. And it's a surefire winner.
When Andrew was diagnosed with cancer for a second time, Ed Daou went to a local gun store and purchased a .38 caliber revolver. Ed had told Carmen if Andrew didn't recover from his cancer, he wouldn't allow him to suffer, and that he would put a bullet in his head and then shoot himself.
Obviously, this is a picture of a person who absolutely can't deal with the fact that, you know, his son is so seriously ill.
Ed even asks his wife Carmen to join his suicide pact. She refuses, but at the time, she is too scared of him to do anything.
She was too afraid to go ahead and tell police what was going on in terms of the abuse and in terms of buying the gun. She thought that that would trigger even more violence from him.
A further search of the house uncovers another clue.
In the garbage can inside the kitchen, after opening up the lid, there on top of the garbage was a copy of the divorce papers that had been filed, along with the responses of what was happening with the divorce. Carmen and Ed Daou were due to be in court on July 28th, just a day after of us locating the bodies inside the residence.
Deputies confirm the handgun found at the scene of the murders is registered to Ed Daou. They also learn Andrew was due for another cancer checkup just weeks later.
The timing of the homicide coincided with an up-and-coming screening test for Andrew. Andrew never made it for that test.
The patriarch can't bear to watch his dynasty dissolve around him.
Seeing that life begin to crumble or fall apart, he formulated an opinion that he was not going to allow himself to fail.
Ed Daou may have invested too much of his own self-esteem in the successes of his son Andrew.
Perhaps Andrew was an element of his success, an element of his own reputation. And when he felt that that reputation was crumbling because his wife had asked for a divorce and things were going to change very, very soon, he felt like the only way he could handle that would be to burn it all down.
The Santa Clara cops unravel the truth behind Ed Daou's night of broken dreams.
What would be the ultimate way to get revenge against a wife who was leaving you? What would be the ultimate way to make her hurt and make her feel the same pain?
Andrew had gone to bed and his girlfriend had gone home. And as Andrew was sound asleep in his room, Ed Daou shot Andrew in the head while he slept.
The bitter father then walks calmly back to his own room.
Ed Daou had returned to his bed. And ultimately shot himself in the head.
Police believe daughter Christina was lucky to dodge a bullet that night.
If Christine would have opted to go to dinner, I think it's safe to say that she definitely would have been in danger of potentially being killed.
Authorities rule the killings a tragic murder-suicide.
Because they have Bentleys, or because they have very nice houses, or they have all the money they could possibly want. I think all those things add up in the American mind to happiness, and they don't. And in some cases, they mask terrible things that are happening.
Even more terrible is what doctors find when they do a post-mortem on Andrew's body.
During the autopsy of Andrew, it was determined that Andrew was in fact still cancer-free. The cancer had not come back.
The mercy killing only saved Andrew Daou from enjoying a long, happy life.
Every parent looks at their children, hopefully with love, and their first instinct is to protect their child. Their first instinct is to keep them away from all harm, to keep them away from people who might come with a gun into their bedrooms. In this particular case, the fact that Ed Daou was so twisted, so broken inside that he could actually murder his own child, that sticks with me.
Andrew, in my book, is a hero. To fight and beat cancer, on 2 occasions as a young man, he's just such an inspiring kid. He's the type of person that you'd want to know.
Flames devour the walls of a majestic English manor in the pre-dawn hours of August 26, 2008.
There was this absolutely incredible fire raging through the house.
A dozen fire crews battle the blaze. Horses lie dead in the stables. Luxury cars are reduced to burnt-out husks. Life has been drained from this once grand estate.
This huge mansion that had effectively been burnt to the ground. This huge mystery. What on earth had happened at this mansion?
It will be days before police can even enter the crumbling home. Weeks before they uncover the full scale of this tragic night.
It was the most atrocious crime. Selfish, cowardly, absolutely horrendous.
The landed English gentry enjoy a privileged life of horses, hounds, and hunting. Business tycoon Christopher Foster has his sights set on a place in this aristocratic world.
He styled himself as a country gent.
And along with that went the shooting and the country lifestyle, the horses and the dogs.
Foster made his fortune in oil. Not the black gold itself, but an ingenious invention.
There's obviously a risk in the oil industry of explosions and fire. He had come up with an idea of a special type of insulation which protected the pipes against fire or an explosion. Great news for him was it worked, and it did generate a lot of money. He looked like someone who was a self-made businessman who had made it and had all the trappings of success and enjoyed the trappings of success. He had bought Ferraris, Porsches, a whole range of smart cars.
Any upper-class chap in tweeds will tell you that gentlemen are usually born, not made. Christopher Foster comes from a lower-class mill town, the son of a door-to-door salesman. Definitely not to the manor born. So he buys one instead.
He loved to show off. He was a very ostentatious man, and he'd seen that house, I think, one weekend, and within 2 or 3 days, he decided to buy it.
Osbaston House, an imposing Georgian mansion with 16 acres of rolling English estate in leafy Shropshire. The entrepreneur pays $2 million cash for the manor, complete with an elaborate home security system. His family soon embraces the genteel life. For 15-year-old daughter Kirsty, this is seventh heaven.
Kirsty was a very popular girl. She had a wide circle of friends, and she was very well liked. She loved horses, she loved the country life.
Fun-loving, typical teenager, very popular, loved horses, absolutely from central casting.
Kirsty excels at equestrian events, winning awards and her father's approval.
I was really proud of you on Sunday.
She was an absolutely passionate rider, and he used to come to the gymkhanas and the things that she competed at. She was a kind of trophy daughter.
Christopher's wife of 21 years, Jill, is also relishing their climb up the class ladder.
Jill seemed the perfect model of the successful wife of a successful businessman. She was company secretary to one of his businesses. She clearly enjoyed the lifestyle that she was living, and why not?
Christopher Foster's image as the country gent is complete. He spares no expense sustaining the grandiose lifestyle.
He was spending £7,000, £8,000 just going on shooting on a weekend. Killing hundreds of birds and buying the best possible guns you could buy.
One such shooting party is staged on a long weekend in August 2008. An exclusive bash at the nearby estate of a fellow millionaire.
You enjoy that one, daughter?
Christopher Foster has just turned 50, and he's in sharp form, even after a few glasses of wine.
They were at a barbecue, and they seemed like the perfect, happy family. Very affluent, enjoying their life.
The Foster's security cameras show them returning home from the barbecue just before 9 p.m. Kirsty lets the dogs out and the family goes inside. A few hours later, there's a panicked emergency call. Osbaston House is on fire. Emergency crews rush to the iron gates of the stately home.
The emergency services turned up to the report of this fire, and they couldn't get into the house because the entrance had been blocked by a horse box, deliberately put in the way.
When fire crews finally reach the mansion, the house is completely on fire, but they can't get in. The entrance has been barricaded from the inside.
You had a mansion which had been involved in a ferocious fire. There was huge speculation about what had happened, what had gone on at that mansion.
And right now, the biggest question is, where are Christopher Foster and his family? Dawn unveils a scene of devastation at Osbaston House in rural England. inferno has wiped out the idyllic world of millionaire Christopher Foster. He and his family are missing.
You could smell it before you saw it, as you always can with these things.
Forensic archaeologist Dr. Julie Roberts is called in to search the smoldering ruins. She's worked on many murders, even war crimes, but nothing like this.
It was a very challenging job, probably one of the most challenging jobs that I've worked on. We reached the mansion and it just looked gutted. The main part of the building was just like a burnt-out shell.
Finding clues will be a long and frustrating process. The savage nature of the blaze means fire scene investigators must wait 3 days before they can even set foot inside the mansion.
Even after the initial flames had been put out, it was too hot for the building to be entered. The walls were unstable, so it took quite a long time to get the fire under control so that it was actually safe to be able to access the building.
Christopher Foster, his wife Jill, and teenage daughter Kirsty are all still missing.
When the fire was discovered and nobody could find the family, the assumption was that he had done a runner.
There was this enormous maelstrom of speculation. What had happened? Had he been killed? Had Chris Foster killed his wife and his daughter and then fled?
Police put out an alert at international ports to stop the Fosters fleeing the country.
There's a manhunt. In fact, it's an international manhunt looking for him. They think maybe he skipped the country with his wife and daughter.
The next few days was obviously a lot of digging by investigators, a lot of digging by the press.
Digging around the estate uncovers grisly clues. Within the ashen ruins of the stables, the forensics team finds the remains of 3 horses and 4 dogs, all shot dead. Not what you expect to find at a fire scene. And inside the house, more devastation.
The first remit was to establish who, if anybody, was in there, and secondly, to look at how they died.
The forensics team scours every room, sifting through the tiniest remains. When they reach a pile of rubble in the west wing, a breakthrough.
The forensic officers started to come in, and one of them gets as far as the fireplace and steps on something spongy and realizes there's a body there.
Not one body, but 2.
There were theories about whether the people that were discovered were criminals. Perhaps Chris Foster had killed them and then set fire to the property to hide that evidence and fled with his family.
DNA testing and dental records quash all rumors.
The identification of the victims was a turning point in the investigation. It was the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Foster that were found, which had landed on the ground floor.
But where is teenage daughter Kirsty? Friends and family hope she has somehow escaped the blaze. Officers continue their painstaking search. Almost a week after the fire, they unearth more human remains. Forensic tests confirm the worst. It is Kirsty.
Because Kirsty had been on the 3rd floor, she'd fallen through the 3 floors as they'd burned and become mixed up with the rubble. Because she'd been buried in the very hot rubble, it meant that she'd continued to burn slowly. So as a result of that, her remains were more badly damaged than had they just lain on top.
Also among the rubble, spent bullets. Tests on Jill Foster's skull prove she was shot in the head. The case turns from missing persons to murder.
The forensic officers who found their bodies were so upset that they said in 25 years of doing this work, they had never been so upset as they were as finding a 15-year-old girl. Completely blameless, shot and then burned to death.
It's like a scene from a Gothic novel. A crazed killer shooting dogs, horses, and humans like ducks in a pond, then torching everything to cover his tracks. Is it the work of a lone assassin or a team of highly trained hitmen?
This crime had the hallmarks of a crime that had been thought about for quite some time and was carefully planned and carefully executed. Was there a businessman out there with a grudge against Chris Foster?
A check of court records shows the country gent has plenty of enemies.
He had been involved in a blackmail case in the past where two people had been charged of blackmailing him. They'd both been acquitted, but it was a fairly sinister thing to be in his past. It became even more sinister when someone came forward to say they'd once been offered £50,000 to kill Chris Foster. So, had he been the victim of an assassination?
Foster has also been bragging about a multi-million-dollar business deal in Russia.
Perhaps Russian crime might be involved. Perhaps he's angered some business associate, paid someone to kill him.
The answer to this mystery lies in Christopher Foster's own obsession with privacy. The mansion's extensive security system somehow survives the flames. Police can't believe what they see in the video footage.
There was some CCTV footage of what first appeared to be a shadowy figure who appeared to be carrying something, going across from the house to the stables.
It's not a team of killers at all. A lone figure walks toward the stables. In one hand, a rifle with a flashlight taped to it. In the other, a can of oil. And his face holds the biggest surprise of all. When fire destroys the estate of English millionaire Christopher Foster, his own security cameras captured the final moments. A blurred figure carrying a rifle and a can of oil emerges from the shadows. Investigators are horrified when they recognize the face. Christopher Foster.
There was a picture of Chris Foster with a gun, with a silencer, going around the work of burning his own house.
So, the man who made his millions by preventing oil fires is using flames to extinguish everything he owns. Why? Christopher Foster might be an excellent marksman, but when it comes to money, he's a lousy shot.
The reality was he didn't have the success and the amount of money that was needed for the lifestyle he was living.
A year before the fire, Foster lost his company after a bitter legal dispute with a supplier.
This great invention that he'd come up with, this insulation for oil pipes, he had sold that company. The goose that laid the golden egg had gone.
He lost his money. He hadn't worked for a year, but he didn't tell anybody that. He kept up his facade of the kind of glamorous, successful businessman, stroke country gent, and that was a sham.
By 2008, the entrepreneur is at least $8 million in debt. Not even his wife knows of his financial woes.
He borrowed against the house, he borrowed time and time and time again and wasn't paying tax and playing some kind of dance with the tax man. But we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds at a time. And he still spent 80 grand on shooting in the last year of his life when he had no money and no job.
He is about to lose his most prized possession. Among Foster's financial records, police find a notice from debt collectors. They were coming to repossess Osbaston House the day after the fire.
I'm quite sure he could have paid off his debts if he'd been prepared to downsize, sell some of his expensive cars. Even when he was in severe financial difficulties, he was doing things like going out and buying hot tub, which he recently had installed in the garden.
But the self-styled squire can't face a world without wealth. And he refuses to force his family back down the social ladder.
Did he say to his wife and his daughter, look, we've had a wonderful time, we've had a wonderful few years, but this is coming to an end, which is what he obviously should have done, but he just saw that as insurmountable. He thought that his wife and his daughter had got used to that lifestyle and they wouldn't be able to cope with any change.
Foster sees only one sickening solution.
He was going to kill himself, that he was going to kill his wife, and that he was going to kill his daughter.
Sometime after midnight, he makes his first move. Foster must kill his family first, so they're not alerted to the fire.
Jill and Kirsty were in the one place where you expect to be safest. In home, in your bed, in the middle of the night. And that's probably how they were killed, by the man they should have trusted the most, who they could have expected to keep them safe.
His wife of 21 years is shot at close range. Chris moves to his daughter Kirsty's room.
Kirsty had a wonderful life and a wonderful life to look forward to. She was very popular, and of course she didn't deserve to die in this appalling way. And it just seems inconceivable that whatever pressures he was under, he could have killed his own daughter.
Before he continues his rampage, Foster leaves a do not disturb sign for police. The horse trailer, barricading the main gate. Then he starts systematically annihilating every other living thing on his property. In his crazed state, he seems to decide, if I can't have it, nobody can.
He put the dogs in the kennels and he shot them. He shot the horses in the stables.
Stay still!
He killed his daughter, he killed his wife, and all his animals, his horses and his dogs. My perception of it was he killed everything that he saw as his property.
Foster drags the dead dogs into the stables and torches the whole building. By 3:30 a.m., he heads back to the main house to fill the basement with oil.
In all, about 200 gallons of oil was put into the house before it was set ablaze.
He set up a pipe between the fuel tank and the house, going through the window of the house, so that fuel poured into the house to sustain the fire. He lit rags with kerosene on them and put them in every room so that he could make sure that there was a fire in each room. So it was a very well thought out, determined effort, which succeeded.
His lifelong obsession with fire has served him well. And his obsession with guns is also coming into focus. Friends come forward with stories of Chris Foster's trigger-happy history.
His wife had doves, wonderful doves, and a dovecot nearby, and the doves would go into the garage and sometimes just do their business on the cars, on these beautiful Ferraris, and he'd shoot them. He'd go in and shoot the doves.
Kirsty's dog, which was a Labrador, had been annoying, I think, probably the sheep of a local farmer, and the farmer had threatened to shoot the Labrador. Chris Foster took a gun and shot the dog dead, according to the report. Well, to shoot your own daughter's dog dead, I think it suggests that Chris Foster, although on the surface seemed a very equable person, might have been fairly disturbed underneath.
But how did the failed tycoon meet his own end?
You see what they made me do?
the forensics team unearths a crucial part of the puzzle.
The murder weapon was a rifle. I think it was a .22 caliber rifle, and that was found in close proximity to Mr. and Mrs. Foster.
The rifle is from Foster's own cherished gun collection and is still loaded. A closer examination of Christopher Foster's remains reveals the truth.
The brain was there, intact, but with no gunshot injury to it.
Perhaps he intended to kill himself, the final shot, but it never came. The fire by then was tearing through the house, and he died of smoke inhalation.
Husband and wife lie entwined in the marital bed.
Jill and Chris Foster were thought to have been lying on the bed together at the time that the fire really took hold. One of their family dogs that hadn't been shot, one that wasn't outside, was the old Labrador, which used to sleep on the bottom of the bed. So you had 3 bodies, in effect, falling through 2 floors and landing on the ground floor.
The couple perish together, but will not be buried that way.
One of the more difficult things I was asked to do during the course of the examinations was to separate out the remains of Mrs. Foster from Mr. Foster. Mrs. Foster's family didn't want any of Mr. Foster's remains mixed in with hers when it came to burial.
In April 2009, a coroner rules the fire a murder-suicide.
He lived a life which in the end turned out to be a mirage, and he couldn't deal with facing his friends, his neighbors, and most importantly, his own family, and admitting it was a mirage. The abiding lesson out of all of this is that Chris Foster was the most appalling coward and the most appalling murderer.
Sigmund Freud believed that what a child needs most is its father's protection. But these fathers abused their role and destroyed their families. Ed Daou wanted to win at any cost. In the end, he lost his son and his life. Christopher Foster created his own bonfire of the vanities. Neither man could buy his way out of failure, so instead, Daddy Dearest turned from protector to executioner. Till next we meet behind mansion walls, I'm Christopher Mason.